Hi everyone, Duke Dog here with another tutorial on how to configure your website through Cloudflare for the purpose of having SSL, HTTPS, and DDoS protection, as well as many other benefits that Cloudflare can provide you all for free without having to do a whole lot of certificates and all that junk manually by yourself. So the first thing that you'll need, this applies to people that have a GoDaddy.com website, and that's the registrar they use. So that's where your website is registered. And then a GoDaddy cPanel shared hosting account. I think it would work with a dedicated hosting account as well, but the keyword here is cPanel because we're going to be exporting some specific cPanel settings in the template for the DNS settings. You will also need a free Cloudflare account. If you have a paid one, that should work fine, but it's not required. All of the things that you need for this tutorial are provided in the free version. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is log into that Cloudflare account. So if I go here to my Cloudflare and I log in, you'll see any websites you currently have, as well as the ability to add a new website. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be setting up this new site right here that I just bought. So this is wmcg.info. And so in Cloudflare, I want to click Add Site and then put that in here. So this is the website I want to route through Cloudflare. There's nothing on that website yet. So it'll offer you these, Pro Business Enterprise. Just scroll down or find the free option and click on that. Hit Continue. Now what it's going to do right now, it's going to scan your existing DNS records. These are all the records you have set up at GoDaddy for where the domain points to. So we don't need to worry about this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll provide a template for you, but I want to show you how to do this in the future for yourself. Go to an existing website that you have set up. So here's my website, dukedog.io. I'm going to click on DNS here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Advanced at the top of my list here, and I'm going to export. When I click Export DNS records, that's going to create a text file. And this text file has everything that's in the screen here. Now what you need to do with this text file is you need to go to Find and Replace. And the find text, you're going to put in the website you just downloaded it for. So I used dukedog.io, and I'm going to replace all that with the new website. So all I'm doing is I'm changing any of the DNS entries going to this website now to this website. So I'm going to hit all. Okay, you'll notice that replaced everything. So I've got DukeDog there. I've got admin.dukedog. So all the A records, all the CNAME records, everything now has this in there instead of DukeDog. So this is now your file for your new website. So you can use this as a template in essence. I'm just copying another website that's on the cPanel hosting, all the settings, and I'm putting them on here. So I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to save this file. I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to call it, instead of DukeDog, I'll call it this info, WMCG info. So now this is saved as my new website information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to keep that on hold. I'm going to keep that in my folder and I'll come back to that later. So let's go ahead and add that new domain. So we hit plus. We were at this step here where it's got the existing records. We actually don't need any of these, so we're going to delete them because we're going to import that file we used earlier. So I'm going to hit continue here. It's going to warn you, are you sure you want to do that? We'll say yes. It's going to walk you through the steps that I'll walk you through. So you're going to go to your GoDaddy account and you're going to update these name servers. Now they skip some steps between 1 and 2 here, so I'm going to help you through that. So go to your GoDaddy account, find your website under domains or your products, and click on DNS over here on the right. Now you're going to see these DNS settings here. Just skip past that, go down to name servers. So right now the name servers are default, they're just pointing to GoDaddy. And what you want to do is route these through Cloudflare. So you're going to hit change, and then you're going to find the option that says like advanced or enter my own name servers manually. And that's where it's going to prompt you for the Cloudflare options. So go back to Cloudflare, and you can copy this first one. This is what mine is. Yours may be different depending on your Cloudflare account, so use whichever ones are in this box for you. So I'm going to put those in here. That's my first one. And this is my second one, Linda. Again, yours may be different than mine. Just use whatever Cloudflare gives you here in the step 2. Okay, now I'm not going to click done here because I haven't saved them in GoDaddy. So back on GoDaddy, I'm going to hit save. And then it's going to say, are you sure? Because this is kind of a major change. Your website won't work unless you know what you're doing. So you can always change it back. So don't worry about it saying it's risky and all that. What we're doing is routing it through Cloudflare, then we're going to update the DNS records in there to make it work. So hit continue here and hit check the guess box. Okay. So right now, don't worry about these settings. It's gonna bypass all these and go to Cloudflare to get the records. So let's go back to Cloudflare, and we'll hit done, check name servers. And then right now this says get started. So I guess it's gonna go through some of these optimization steps. So if you look over here, I think I have that down here, enable Cloudflare optimizations. So get started. You want automatic set to be on, that's good, save. Always use, you want that to be turned on because you want it to forward to HTTPS. If somebody types in HTTP, you want to send them there automatically. Save that. Auto minify all of these. What this does is it kind of compresses and caches this so that your website can load faster. And turn on Brotli compression as well. So all these should be enabled and checked. And then hit finish. All right, and then down here it's going to say check name servers again. You can click on that and it'll say, you know, you've been queued up for check. Please wait a few hours for the update. So now at the top, make sure you're on your website that you want to configure. We're going to go to DNS, and you notice there's nothing in here. So there's no records right now. And the way we're going to update these is by importing that file template that we made earlier. So I'm going to hit select a file. And I'm going to go to that wmcg.info file. I'm going to hit open and just hit upload. Okay, now what it's doing is it's pointing to the same server as your other website, which should be your IP here. Now this IP is going to be different for you. So you're going to want to change this IP address from the template to whatever your cPanel IP address is. So to get that, you need to log into your cPanel website. You can just look at your shared IP address over here on the right or left, depending on your theme, and you can just copy that. So this is the IP address of your server. So what you do here is you make sure that that matches these records. So any record that has your IP address, usually it's in the top A records, any of those, make sure those match your cPanel IP address. So what we're doing here is we're basically saying, all right, GoDaddy, point to, let me refresh this, point to Cloudflare, okay? All right, it's like a domino effect. GoDaddy, point to Cloudflare, all right? And then when it goes to Cloudflare, it finds all this information here. And then it says, okay, Cloudflare, point to my server, my cPanel server. So you're routing everything through Cloudflare And proxied means everything is hidden and secured behind Cloudflare. So if anybody tries to attack your website, do a DDoS attack or a flood or anything like that, it won't hit this IP directly. It's going to go to a Cloudflare IP, and on their back-end servers, they have all kinds of protections set up, and it won't let that attack forward to your cPanel server. So the whole point of having Cloudflare is for protection as well as SSL. And so at some point, if I ping my website, and I'll go ahead and show this step here down at pinging the website, I shouldn't see this IP. I should see the Cloudflare IP for these name servers, and that's how you know it's working. So let me go to my terminal, and what I'll do is I'll ping my new website. Okay, good. So this 172.67 is not this IP here. So what that tells me is this is going to a Cloudflare IP. I can stop this thing. And then it's forwarding from there to my 160.IP. Now if you go to your new website, it says home of something cool. To make sure it's actually hitting your, coming back and hitting your cPanel, you can go into File Manager here, and you can go down to your oh, you know what? I forgot one step. So back here in cPanel, there's one more thing you need to do, and that is you need to go add the add-on domain. That really is step one, and I completely missed it. So in the add-on domains, go ahead and put your domain. If you click in here, it'll autofill subdomain. That's fine. And then it'll create a new folder in your public HTML host file here. Just hit add domain. So at that point, what it's doing now is once it comes back to your server from Cloudflare, it will be able to go, okay, which domain do I go to, which folder, because you've set that up here. So again, it's kind of like a domino effect, like a chain. We're going from GoDaddy to Cloudflare, back to cPanel, and then this down here says, okay, which folder in cPanel should I look for your website? And so that's all there is to it. So if I refresh this, good. This is actually a good thing. So if you're seeing forbidden, what that means is there's nothing in that folder. So it's not going to show the user anything. There's nothing there to see. The folder's empty. So in my cPanel file manager, if I refresh this now, I should have a WMCG info folder. Yep. And to test if this is working, I can actually just say new file, call it index.html. Oops, no comma there. Create new file, and then I can click edit here. Just type in this is a test, June 1st, 2021. And then I'm going to save this. Okay. Now when I load my website, I should see that. Perfect. So what this tells me is that the whole process is complete. I've got SSL. I've got Cloudflare redirecting my site back to my cPanel, to the right IP. Once it's back to cPanel, this knows which folder to look at because we just saw this update take place. Now, ideally, you'll have something else here, a WordPress website or something more, you know, like a cooler front end or whatever. This was just a text sample to make sure it worked. So what's happening right now, just to explain it again, in case any of these steps didn't make sense, here's what's happening. So user types in your website, okay? So let's say your website is domain.com or whatever. The browser checks the internet for that site, like how to get to it. So how do I get to the site? And then it directs the user to Cloudflare. They don't see this. Okay, this is all happening in the back end. Cloudflare immediately directs the user to cPanel host at GoDaddy. Okay. And actually, I guess the step here, if you want to add in another step, is GoDaddy directs the user to Cloudflare. Okay. So user types in your website. The browser checks the internet for that site. Says, hey, where do I go? GoDaddy says, okay, I recognize your request. Send the user to Cloudflare. Cloudflare is just a middleman. Cloudflare says, okay, I recognize your request. Now send the user to cPanel. And they don't see any of this. This is all just happening in the background in milliseconds. Cloudflare immediately directs the user to the cPanel host at GoDaddy. cPanel looks in the add-ons domain for that website, okay, domain.com, and then sends the user to that folder, right? If there's nothing in the folder, you're going to get that forbidden alert. We created an index file, which is like a default web page, and so we see this. So that's the whole route. That's what's happening here. So from typing in the site, all of this is happening in the background. Like all of this in here in the middle is being redirected without you knowing. So for example, when I type in this website, I hit enter, blink of an eye, all of this happens. So everything's being, taken care of in the background. The benefit is you now have DDoS protection. You now have SSL. You don't have to go pay for an expensive, fancy cert for your website. You also didn't have to pay for Cloudflare. That's free. And if you come look at Cloudflare back here, I've got tons of websites, all in the free account. I'm not paying for anything. So far, I haven't hit a limit yet, and I've got well over 10 or 15 sites here. But do make sure that you did the add-on domain step. I didn't say that in here. So I guess step 0 would be log into cPanel host, add new add-on domain in your new website. So that's what I would do as the first step, because you can do it at the end like I did, and it'll still work. But that typically will give your website host provider time to have everything configured before you start redirecting things. This is the order I would go through and do them in. We didn't have to wait those 1 to 2 hours. This happened pretty quickly, so it's already redirecting. But what I'll do is I will post a template of that file that we exported from Cloudflare, because if this is the first time you're doing it, you won't have those cPanel settings for your server, and you'll need to. The first time I went through it, I had to create those, and it was kind of painful. So I'll provide that template. The only thing you need to change, remember, when you go into this website, is you'll need to change. You do find replace on that website to change it, but then you also change that IP address. So you're not going to want that default IP address that's in the template. Otherwise, it'll direct to somewhere else. You want it directing to your cPanel IP. And you get that by logging in again to your cPanel. And on just the main home page of the dashboard, you'll see that IP address. All right. That's all there is to it. If you have any questions, comments, please post those below the video, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thanks so much.